Hello and welcome back to the Bad Movie Reviews channel, hosted by myself today. Daniel is away, so it'll just be a solo review, so hopefully you're not sick of me. I'll be reviewing the latest M. Night Shyamalan film called Knock at the Cabin, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's based on a book called The Cabin at the End of the World, written by Paul Tremblay, which I've also read and I absolutely adore, so I was very excited for this to see what M. Night cooked up. For anyone who also doesn't know, basically, the plot of the film, it's a couple on vacation in the woods with their daughter, and they're basically taken hostage by a group of strangers led by Dave Bautista's character, who are attempting to try and stop the apocalypse. So, very dark subject matter. We'll get straight into the film. In terms of the directing side of things, it's probably one of M. Night Shyamalan's best films from a directorial standpoint. For instance, some of the shots and the way he uses the camera is really intricate. There's some shots, for instance, which is almost like attached on the back of the head. There's some shots used with a broken camera lens, and it's really interesting the way he uses that to kind of, I guess, bring out and evoke feelings, really. The way he uses also close-ups in this film, it pretty much takes place in the one location, which is in the cabin, albeit, some flashbacks here and there, but it's very claustrophobic, the way he uses the, for instance, this shot here is realistically I guess you could say a close-up to some extent, but the way he uses the camera, the close-up really only shows like 99% of their head with a little bit of foreground, but you can't actually make out what it is. And it's used really well. And it's probably his best looking film. So I got to give him props there, because realistically, he is very hit and miss, I find. I wasn't the biggest fan of old. I love some of his older films, pun intended. Other than that, the acting side of things, I'll get straight. Everyone here is really, really good. Jonathan Groff can get cast as anything. He's fantastic. But I guess it's kind of led by Dave Bautista, who we all know and love as Drax, for instance. But obviously he's played his small roles in, Blade Runner 2049 and these other films. But I really like how he's trying to develop himself into a bit of a character actor. And by all means, he should, because he is absolutely brilliant in this film. Obviously, he's physically intimidating with his large structure and essentially his size, but he brings a lot of like empathy and compassion into his performance of a man who seriously thinks he's trying to save the world and stop the world burning. But in doing so, he's also extremely intimidating, as you can probably tell. And it's definitely his best performance to date. And along with the other cast is fantastic. And this is really built on, obviously, the performances, as I said before, being that it takes place in pretty much 99% of the time, one location. It's really built on those characters and you feeling empathy for them and you putting yourself in that position. And I think they do that well. And some of the visual aspects are really dark. Obviously, you're dealing with, people trying to prevent the apocalypse, but some of the violence is really really, really confronting, and visually the thematics that are kind of shown and the themes it goes through are really quite dark, and it's probably M. Night Shyamalan's probably darkest film that I can remember in terms of what he actually, the subject matter and what he deals with, and it really starts that the tension does not stop the whole time. It pretty much gets straight into it, which is definitely a good thing. I must admit, from an acting and directorial standpoint, I absolutely love this film. I'm not going to lie. I really thought M. Night directed the shit out of it. It's extremely well directed to evoke the emotions you should. Along with the score, it's very eerie. And acting, you kind of feel empathy and really for every character. So they're really doing well here. Where the film kind of lost me a little bit is story, which isn't necessarily a surprising aspect for M. Night Shyamalan's film. That's usually where a lot of people do get lost. But the main reason why, for me, for the general audience, like for 99% of people who haven't read the book, they'll probably really enjoy it. It may be, very up and down from certain people, but where it lost me is, being that I have read the book, they do stray away from it, definitely towards the end. It stays very faithful 80% of the time to the actual book, And then where it ends up, I wasn't a biggest fan of their changes. Like sometimes, for instance, if anyone's watched The Last of Us show, episode 3, they kind of deviate a little bit from the book, but it's really to build characters and things like that. Whereas their deviation from the book here kind of took away a little bit from the movie as well. In doing so, what essentially happened is it kind of just felt like all this tension built up and so much happening, and then it just kind of felt like it ended. And it actually worked against, because you have M. Night Shyamalan's name attached to it. I think 99% of people are really used to his twists and turns, and they've come to expect that, where you really actually don't get that in this film. It's very, probably his most humane film to date, really, but probably his most accessible to the general audience, where there's not many twists and turns and going down that route. It's very, very accessible for the general audience, and I think it's realistically probably one of his only, I think probably one of 3, maybe 2 films in his catalog that are actually adapted from a source material. And I think he really elevates it in the first half of the movie, like in terms of the way he's directed it. He did extremely well. It's just, I think, the story that really lost me towards the end. Now, in saying that, I might be alone in that. That's just obviously my opinion and my feelings towards it. But other than that, I got to give props to the film, really. It's done such a good job in the way he's directed it, and I'm really excited to see what he does in the future, because if he keeps directing these intricate, interesting small films and really directs the hell out of it, and probably certainly his best looking film to date in terms of the actual visual aspect, but just the way he directed it, I got to give props. And I'm super keen to see Dave Bautista in more films if it means anything like this. He was really grounded and seriously good in the film. I just wish they I guess honored the book a little bit more and realistically stayed very similar course to where the book ended, because that really hit me. For anyone who doesn't know, you could go look up the book ending by all means. It's been out for 5 years. And obviously if you've seen this film, you know how this ends. But other than that, I do got to recommend it. I recommend seeing it just purely for the feelings that the whole film evoked, with the camera techniques and the filmmaking aspect side of things, and the performances alone. It's really built on that. It's just a shame, I guess, what happened in the last 10, 15 minutes that took me away from it, because it just kind of felt like the film starts at 0 to 100 the whole way through. You're on the edge of your seat, and then you just kind of, it does lose you a little bit. And I wish it kind of kept that grasp on me. I was on the edge of the seat till the end. But other than that, I can't really say too many bad things about the film. I definitely go recommend watching it. Probably M. Night's best film since I enjoyed Split, but probably even Unbreakable, going back that far, or even The Village. Sorry, I forgot about The Village. Yeah, by all means, definitely go see it. If you have seen it and you want to know what I think, there you go. By all means, feel free to comment below. Let me know what you thought of the film, whether you liked it, whether you didn't, what you're looking forward to, whether you like M. Night's film. By all means, comment below. Feel free to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.